So hello guys, welcome to episode 80 of our F1 Manager Save. Now if you didn't watch the last episode in Canada, we've had back-to-back 1-2s, absolutely buzzing with how things are going at Ferrari at the moment. Lando Norris winning again, strengthening his grip on the driver's standings. Mick Schumacher is pulling out some performances to make sure that he is in this car for the rest of the season. If we have a look at the standings, what does that mean? Ferrari, we are now well in front of Red Bull. We've got around 50 points to Red Bull, and on the driver standings wise, Lando Norris absolutely buzzing at the moment. 76 points the gap between him and Charles Leclerc, his closest challenger, and Mick Schumacher is up to P4 in the driver's standings. It's been a big improvement from Mick over the last couple of races, and as he's improving, he's developing more, we're giving him more speed. It's all looking very, very positive as we head to the Red Bull Ring in Austria. 71 laps round here. It's a very short circuit round here. Carlos Sainz holds the lap record here. We expected strategies is a one stop from medium onto hard or hard onto medium, weather dependent of course. Car attributes, top speed very important round here, and high speed cornering. We're pretty good at high speed cornering, so I do fancy our chances. Last year we got a 1-2 with Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly. Could we make it 3 1-2s for Ferrari on the bounce? Let's see. I'm going to get through practice and I'll see you in qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Our race weekend continues as we head into qualifying. Drivers will no doubt be constantly pushing to secure a good starting place in tomorrow's race. Of course, all it takes is one momentary lapse of concentration and they can find themselves at the back of tomorrow's grid. There are always risks to be taken, but can they afford not to? You're going to want to join us for this, folks, so fasten your seatbelts.
There we go then, final flying laps in Q3. Now Lando Norris, he's topped Q2. He's looked very strong all weekend. Mick Schumacher has had a few off-track incidents at the moment. Mick Schumacher, he's ran wide on a few corners. We're just looking at Lando Norris coming up to the line now. Is he going to manage to grab pole? He isn't. Max Verstappen manages to do it at one of his 2 home Grand Prix here in Austria. Mick Schumacher only good enough for P7 at the moment. What must be said, 2 Williams cars in the top 10. Sargent and Tsunoda, 9th and 10th at the moment. Will either of those guys manage to overtake Schumacher? They won't. So it is going to be Max Verstappen, but I do believe he is taking a grid penalty this weekend. So Lando Norris may be starting on pole, and we've got a lot of rain to deal with on Sunday. It's going to be a very interesting one. Let's have a look at the strategies. Well guys, I think in 80 episodes, I don't think we've ever done this. If we just have a look at Mick Schumacher's strategy screen, it's going to be raining from the start of the Grand Prix. We're going to be starting on the full wet tyres. As we can see, track water 4.2 at this moment in time, and it's going to continue to rain all the way through until around lap 35, and that's when we're going to switch to the hard compound tyres. It's the same for both cars. Lando Norris is starting on pole, Mick Schumacher starting P6, so hopefully we'll get a good enough gap between those two to switch them and not have to double stack and lose Mick anytime. So that's the plan. 1st and 6th, starting on the wets for the Austrian Grand Prix. Let's get to 5 red lights.
The crowd are ready, the cars are ready. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we're looking at Lando Norris, who's had a fantastic start at this moment in time. Leclerc has lost a place to George Russell. Leclerc has had a terrible start off the line, losing a couple of places straight away. And Mick Schumacher looking like the man who's in position to overtake. Let's just have a look at the tyres. Leclerc and Magnussen are on the intermediate tyres. We've got quite a few cars on the intermediates now. Will this prove pivotal? Is the weather going to dry up now? It must be said you don't get a fantastic screen in terms of the weather and what it's predicted to do before the start of the race. Now Mick Schumacher making early headway here, but it must be said Charles Leclerc is now better for intermediates. So it's going to be very, very interesting, and Mick Schumacher's locked up straight away. He's been locking up all weekend, and I believe we're going to get a view of this. And Mick Schumacher has had a terrible start here in the rain, maybe not as used to it as what Lando is. But let's have a little look at this. Locks up the front right, maybe gets pushed off a little bit there, but Mick Schumacher has lost a lot of places there on lap 1. In fact, he's now running at the back of the grid, Mick Schumacher. So that's a terrible, terrible start for him. Lando Norris on the other hand, not had such a bad start. He's currently leading from George Russell. Russell just in front of Leclerc at this moment in time. Then comes K-Mag Perez, Sainz, Tsunoda. Tsunoda is in front of Verstappen at this moment in time, and we know how good Verstappen is. If we watch the Monaco Grand Prix, we know how good Verstappen is in the rain. Sargent doing very well as well. Both Williams cars scoring points at this moment in time as we come on to lap 2, and Pierre Gasly in P10. But Mick Schumacher has showed this type of form all weekend. He's been running wide in qualifying, and now he's at the back of the grid in the race. Lap 2. Lap 7, we've got a few of the wet tyre runners coming in for intermediates. We are analysing the situation here. Is it going to get worse before it gets better? If we have a look at the track, it is expected to go up again in a little while. I think it's stick or twist. At the moment, Lando's doing okay. He's currently lapping. If we have a look at the last lap, 1:14.0, 1:14.3 for Russell. Leclerc 1:13.6. I'm assuming Leclerc's very much up the back of Russell at the minute. He certainly is. Russell looks like he will be holding Leclerc up. We may pull the trigger with Mick Schumacher. That is something we are currently looking at. Maybe getting him out into clean air and then using the intermediate sub. So something to note for Mick Schumacher. But at this moment in time, Lando Norris still in front by 2.4 seconds, and we are expecting more rain in 4 minutes' time. We've got a lot of the wet tyre runners boxing, and Mick Schumacher is the next one to do so. It must be said now, there is only Lando Norris at the front who is on the full wet tyres. I'm not sure if we're on the right strategy here. I'm really not. We've started on the wets. Maybe we've been a little bit conservative. Mick Schumacher coming in for the intermediates. He's going to be the guinea pig now for Lando Norris. But Leclerc is starting to close in. It may be a point that we just have to bring Lando in and surrender the lead of the Grand Prix. We'll keep an eye on it. I'm hoping that this rain is going to come. As Mick Schumacher just comes back out onto circuit, I'm hoping that this rain is going to come down a little bit heavier and go back into the wet tyres. But we'll have to see. Lap 10, your full top 10 is Norris from Leclerc, Magnussen again in P3. Kevin Magnussen, what a performance he's having. Perez P4, Verstappen P5, then come the two Williams cars. Ricciardo P8, Albon P9, Guan Yu Zhou P10, and it must be said we're not quite getting the strategy right today, because just as we brought Mick Schumacher in for intermediates, he's gone back up to wet weather conditions, but he was severely complaining about the tyres, so I felt necessary to bring him in to avoid any more spins on lap 11. Lap 15, you join us back now. That wet weather period really helped Lando Norris. As you can see, he pulled out a 14-second lead. Magnussen overtook Leclerc. That little train's still running together, but Kevin Magnussen is now leading it. They are on the intermediate tyres. We're expecting a little bit more rain in a short period of time, but at this moment, Lando Norris, that wet weather period, he's drove exceptionally well, and he's pulled out a 15-second lead. Now, I believe that was Kevin Magnussen that we were just watching, who's locked up there. He's let Charles Leclerc through. Magnussen, having a very mixed season, finds himself in a lot of good positions, doesn't seem to capitalise on it. In terms of the weather watch, we're still expecting more and more rain up until lap 35, so I think the strategy is clear now for Lando Norris. He stays out on these wet weather tyres. The tyres are overheating, we understand that, but we're expecting more rain in 1 minute's time, and if he can get through another 20 laps, he's going to be in a very, very good position to switch to the hard compounder tyre, which will get us to the end. Lap 16.
Fastest lap.
Mick Schumacher is absolutely flying. It's just a shame he's down in P19. We have just had a crash on circuit, and we're going to take a look at this now. Let's just have a little look. It looks like it's the two Nissan cars of Stroll and Maloney, and I'm guessing it's going to be Lance Stroll. It is, who clips the back of Maloney. Not ideal at all for him there. One thing that must be said though, this weather is starting to dry up, and Lando Norris is now being caught at some pace by Charles Leclerc. We're looking at the strategy screen very intently to see when it is going to be the right time, but he may have to just suck this up now, Lando Norris, and hold these cars behind. It's going to be very, very difficult for him. I'd rather the track clear up quickly. We did see a little break of sunshine, but the intermediates are certainly the optimal tyre now, and Lando Norris is having to do some serious defending on these cars behind. Lap 21. And on lap 21, it must be said, it's not worked, because Leclerc is past. Did we miss a chance to go onto the intermediate tyres? Maybe that's something we could have looked at. Verstappen managed to get past Lando Norris as well, who's now really, really struggling. We're looking at the right hand side in this weather, just praying for it to dry up a little bit quicker than it is doing, but Norris is losing serious time at this moment in time, and it's proving very costly. Lap 22. This has possibly been the worst few laps I have seen as a Ferrari team principal, but maybe the safety car has just saved us. Let's just have a little look at this here. because we've dropped to P17 with Lando Norris. We didn't bring him into Inters because we were waiting to get to the dry track. We've now got a safety car, and this is going to be a very bold call, but we are going to bring in, we're just going to watch this crash from Ocon, and then we're going to discuss the strategy, because we're going to have to take an almighty gamble here with the Ferrari. It's Ocon crashing into turn 1, he rolls onto the circuit, and then off the other side, it's very slippery as you can see. We now reckon that the track is going to start drying out. We've got a safety car. We are going to switch both of our cars to the hard compound tyres. This is a massive, massive call, but I'm hoping the safety car is going to stay out for a little while, and then the other cars will all have to pit. Will this pay off? I'm not sure. We'll come back when our guys are into the pits. And into the pits they are. In comes Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher. This is possibly the biggest risk we've took as team principal, but I reckon it's one that we may have to do to get us back in. And to be fair, that's very, very smooth from the Ferrari pit crew. Both our cars now back out onto the dry compounded tyre as we can see the sunshine coming down the Red Bull ring. We want a 2 or 3 lap safety car here to get it towards dry conditions, and then everybody else is going to have to pit and we should be okay. That's the plan. Will it work? God, I hope so. Right, safety car is in this lap. We're only just catching the safety car, but the conditions have dried out a little bit. There's still quite a lot of water on circuit. Leclerc leads from Perez, Verstappen, Tsunoda. I'm hoping that this is going to pay off for us. I'm not convinced it is, but we had to do something. We need this track to dry, and we need it to dry quickly. Lap 30, Leclerc leads. Verstappen's up there as well. This could be a huge day in terms of the Constructors' title. Lap 30. This could actually be the most embarrassing race as team principal I've ever had. It didn't work. It really didn't work. Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher are both a lap down. Unless there is a safety car where we can unlap ourselves, there is no way on earth we are going to get back into this race. Unless our guys really push now, but I don't think we're going to make up that time. Leclerc is leading on the Inters from Sergio Perez. We've got this totally wrong. I'll hold my hands up. I've got this strategy. It's so wrong it hurts. Leclerc from Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda in the Williams. He's currently running in P4. Unbelievable from him. Magnussen and Albon, the 2 Audis, are 5th and 6th respectively. Sargent P7, Zhou P8, Vettel P9 and Russell P10. Leclerc's coming into the pits. I dread to think how far he's going to come out in front of Lando Norris, and even with the double stacks, we're not going to benefit from this in any way, shape or form. Let's see what we can do after these pit stops. Leclerc is going to come out. Where is Lando Norris? In fact, he's a lap down. There's no point even commentating on that bit. Leclerc's back out onto the soft compound of tyre. Now that is interesting, because the soft, I don't believe, is going to go to the end. So they're going to have to make another pit stop as well. Maybe we're not out of this just yet. A lot of cars going onto the soft compound tyre. Maybe we can pull out a miracle here. Who knows? Lap 39. Lap 53, we're going to bring you back to the action. Alexander Albon was doing very, very well indeed. He's now just spun out onto the gravel. Not fantastic from him. All these cars on the soft compound tyres, we are, I would imagine, expecting them to pit again. But one thing that would be noted is, I mean, we've just got this totally wrong. Leclerc and Verstappen, the 2 Red Bulls, are P1 and 2 at the moment. Perez P3, Tsunoda P4, Sainz P5, Zhou P6, Ricciardo in P7, Sargent in P8, Vettel's in P9, and then there come the 2 Mercedes. Reflecting on this, in hindsight, we should have started on the intermediates. That would have solved all his problems. We could have brought Lando in earlier. We didn't need to take the risk on that safety car. It's just snowballed here in the Red Bull ring. And to be fair, there's nothing I can say about it on the pit wall. I'm sure the papers in Italy tomorrow are not going to be too kind to me as the Ferrari team principal. Is there anything really to tell you about with our guys? Not unless it's a safety car. We are crying out for a safety car here, but I don't think we're going to get one. It's just Leclerc from Verstappen. It's which one really is going to win, but it's looking like Leclerc at this moment in time. Lap 54. And on lap 56, it's not looking so clear-cut now. Verstappen and Leclerc, the 2 Red Bull drivers, are having a real ding-dong battle at the front here at the Red Bull ring. Very apt. But it must be said, who's your money on here? I reckon it's going to be Charles Leclerc. Remember, Charles Leclerc's got a chance to really close the gap on Lando Norris here with our 2 cars at the back of the grid. So it's really important for Charles Leclerc to make the most of this as he overtakes Max Verstappen with DRS. I reckon this could go all the way to the wire between these 2 guys. It's weird, isn't it? It's a Ferrari series, but there's nothing to focus on Ferrari today apart from how poor my strategy has been with them. Guan Yu Zhou in the Lotus Renault doing very well as well, it must be said. And the Aston Martin boys, let's have a look at them. Carlos Sainz in P6 at this moment in time. He's chasing on Guan Yu Zhou. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly has just got past Zane Maloney and he's looking to attack Valtteri Bottas, but he's got 8 seconds the gap. Doesn't look like the double stack has been kind to Pierre Gasly, but at the front this is going to run and run. Verstappen versus Leclerc for the win at the Red Bull Ring. This is going to be a real highlight of this Grand Prix, and we've got a competitor running wide now. Is that going to bring out a safety car? It isn't. We're hoping for a safety car. That's all I'm sat here praying for, to spare my blushes. And Yuki Tsunoda, as this cost him a lot of time, because I think as a neutral you've got to be rooting for these 2 Williams cars. It's cost him some time, not a lot, but Tsunoda and Sargent, 2 Williams in the top 10. If they can get a double points result today, that would be absolutely fantastic. And these 2 guys are just not going to let up. Leclerc back into the lead, lap 58. And at Ferrari, well, this on lap 66, while this is happening, we are going to have a little fastest lap challenge between the 2 guys. Lando Norris is coming in for softs, as is Mick Schumacher. It looks like we've got a few guys coming into the pits as well, but Schumacher and Norris into the pits just to have a go for the fastest lap, really. That's all that's about. We're going to let them use the ERS and absolutely punch it for the last few laps. I don't feel there's any necessity not to do it. If we can steal a point off one of the top guys, that's ideal for us. So Norris exits the pits, obviously at the bike. We're going to tell him to deploy, we're going to tell him to push on the fuel, and the same will be said for Mick Schumacher when he finally comes out of the pits. He's going to be doing the exact same thing. Arguably we could have stayed out on the hard compound, but we were more than a pit stop behind anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference to us. We may as well go for the fastest lap, lap 67. And Lando Norris certainly gets the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1 minute 4 was that? Let's have a look last lap, 1 minute 4.7. Mick Schumacher could only manage a 1 minute 4.7. Sorry, Lando Norris 1 minute 4.4. Mick Schumacher 104.7. So that's that. The guys all look like they're going to the end. Our guys are going to pick up the fastest lap. At least there's a crumb of consolation for us here. But we're now going to look at it. What is interesting is it looks like Red Bull have pitted Charles Leclerc, but not pitted Max Verstappen. Make of that what you will, but in terms of the second position in the driver's standings, that could be very pivotal, and I'm sure Charles Leclerc is not happy that Max Verstappen looks like he has got the more favourable strategy call today, or maybe he's been on the radio saying that he simply couldn't manage with these tyres any further. What we will do is just make sure that we don't run out of petrol, because that really would sum everything up, and we'll come back when we get towards the last lap of the Grand Prix. And this is it then, final few corners for Max Verstappen. It's going to be a Red Bull 1-2. We've greatly contributed to it, but Max Verstappen will come around the final corner and win the Austrian Grand Prix. It's been sublime from Red Bull. It's been disastrous from Ferrari. But Leclerc and Verstappen pick up significant points in the constructors and drivers standings. It's great work from Max Verstappen. I'm sure Charles Leclerc's not particularly happy that he's had to pit, but Max Verstappen will take all the plaudits today at the Red Bull Ring. We'll fast forward now and get the full classification here at the Red Bull Ring.
Say that today won't be going down as one of the better ones in the Ferrari camp.
That was a real learning experience for the team. Hopefully they have time to course correct before the next race.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
As we reach mid-season, the battle will pick up again in the Côte d'Azur. Join us in the south of France at the circuit Paul Ricard.
And as you heard there, Crofty and Karoon saying it's not been the best day, I think that is an understatement. As we saw, Max Verstappen wins from Leclerc. Yuki Tsunoda on the podium in the Williams. What a drive from him. The Alpine of Guan Yu Zhou in 4th position. Ricciardo P5, Vettel P6. A Haas, Williams and Alpha Tauri all in the top 10. Dare we even look? Driver standings wise, Lando Norris, his lead is cut into a little bit. We are still quite a distance in front. 59 points now, the gap to Leclerc in second. Mick Schumacher didn't lose a place but lost quite a bit of ground to Max Verstappen, who's now in P3 and only 26 points behind his Red Bull teammate. Constructors standings wise, we gained 1 point, Red Bull gained 43. That's really dented our buffer that we had to those, and Red Bull will be sensing blood now after that real disaster class from me and from Ferrari. I hope you've enjoyed that one. I can't say that I have, but these things do happen. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will come back stronger for the next one and the Circuit Paul Ricard. Ta-ra!